welcome to my channel, and today I have a tutorial on this look right here.
Pause. Let's just take a moment and appreciate the fact that this is my first ever YouTube video.
Here, it's a very summery, very luminous, light, and affordable. Let's not forget the affordable part of this look. It's perfect for summertime, it's perfect for daytime, it's perfect for any of you that want to go to like a springtime or summertime event and you don't want to wear too much makeup. So this is actually a really nice, option. You could always switch out the lip for something a little darker, something a little lighter, whatever your preference may be. I decided to use lashes. You guys can do this with or without lashes. I decided to use lashes because, let's be honest, my lashes are non-existent. But I really do like how this look came out. So yeah, so if you guys are interested, just keep on watching.
To start off, I like to make sure my face is nice and clean and my hands are disinfected. Then I like to moisturize because I do have acne and dry patches will show through my foundation if I don't moisturize correctly. Here I'm just prepping my eyebrows with e.l.f. Duo Eyebrow Brush. It has a spoolie at the end and then the brush on the other end. Next, I like to take my face primer. I'm using the e.l.f. Poreless face primer. It's actually a pretty good primer for $6, not bad. I'm using patting motions to pat it in my face. I find that it gives a better application this way, and I like to give it significant time to set in my pores before I apply my foundation. And after I apply my primer and allow it to set, I will start on my brows. I like doing my brows before anything. I didn't realize this, but my camera did stop recording, but I am using the e.l.f. pomade. Believe it or not, this is actually an extremely good pomade for your eyebrows. It's a gel pomade, and once it dries, it's not going nowhere. It actually stays on pretty good, and I've worn this already in some pretty hot days. Like, I live in North Carolina, so it's been pretty hot recently, and it stayed on my face like a champ. Now what I do here is that I pick up a small amount from the pot itself and I spread it on the lid and use the lid to kind of diffuse the color because this stuff is pretty potent. So it allows me to control the amount that goes on my actual face. Now once I'm done with the outer end of my eyebrow, I make sure that I use up as much product as I can on the brush before I go in to the inner edge of my eyebrows. Like this, it'll allow me to create a nice little fade, and it'll also give me better product control when I go in with the very tip of that angled brush to go back in and fill out any sparse areas. And as I fill in my brows, of course, I go in with the spoolie. This actually works really well with diffusing that color and kind of brushing out the color to create little hair-like strokes, so it looks a lot more natural. So don't freak out if you go a little too heavy-handed and apply a little bit too much of the e.l.f. product, because you could always go back in with the spoolie and kind of brush it out really good because it does really well with blending. e.l.f. recently has been really up in their game with the products that they've been putting out, because so far the small amount of products that I have tried are extremely good. So next I'm gonna go in with my Maybelline Fit Me concealer to kind of clean up the edges of my brows. And I'm using a small concealer brush, and I like to start off with the most product on the arch of my eyebrow. Like that, it'll allow me to kind of spread out that product really good on both sides. And then I just go in real quick and give it a quick blend with the brush. Another tip too is by applying your concealer around your eyebrows, it creates a border, so when you go in with your foundation later, you don't have to go in too close to your eyebrows. But to blend out that concealer really nicely, and the best way, honestly, I find, is to actually use my finger to blend out those edges even better.
Yeah, how you like me now?
And of course at this point you just want to set your little brow hairs with a brow gel that you have, whatever your choice may be. Because we got to keep those brow hairs in place. Now it's time for foundation. Here I'm using my L'Oreal True Match Lumi foundation and mixed in with my Maybelline Fit Me Dewy and Smooth. Since I do have dry skin, I want something more on the moisturizing, luminous side. I can't use things that are too drying because then you'll see these dry patches all over my face. And as you guys saw, I mixed both foundations on a little glass plate that I have, and picked it up with my damp Real Techniques Beauty Blender. Now I'm just using patting motions to pat it in your face. If you want a flawless foundation application, you need to pat it in your face as much as you can. Don't swipe it across your face, always pat it in, and it's always best to apply a very light layer first. You could always go back in and build up the intensity in the areas that need a little bit more coverage. For me, it would be around my cheeks and around the areas of my mouth and a little bit of my chin. Like this, you'll prevent cake face from happening. Now I'm going in with my Maybelline Fit Me concealer. I absolutely love this concealer. It's probably one of my favorite drugstore concealers at the moment. It has really good coverage, it brightens, and it's very lightweight. That's what I like the most about it, that it is very lightweight. As you can see, I'm going to highlight under my eyes, my chin, Cupid's bow, my nose, my forehead. I also highlight around my mouth and right around my jawline. And of course, you cannot forget your eyelids. I use this concealer as a primer on my lighter days when I don't want to wear too much makeup. This is what I use as a primer. Then of course, I go in with my damp beauty blender to blend everything out. I leave my nose for last because I like that line straight down my nose to set first. I find that it lasts a lot longer and it actually creates a nice brighter look. Yeah, just please ignore me dancing from side to side while doing this. Now, if you guys want an inexpensive setting powder, then I recommend this one by Airspun. You can find that at your local Walmart. It's only like 10 bucks. The only downside that some of you might actually have with this powder is that it does have a strong fragrance to it. Me personally, I'm not bothered by items that are fragrant, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that this does have a pretty strong fragrance to it. I find that it goes away after a while, to be honest with you. And as you saw earlier, all I did was just blend out the creases under my eyes with my finger, and then I go ahead and use my beauty blender to pick up the powder to kind of lightly bake under my eye area. I also put powder around the areas of my nose because I do have some creasing there as well. I make sure not to come too far down with the setting powder onto my cheeks because I like to go in later with a cream product. But first I just very lightly set my eyelids with a little bit of setting powder. Now I'm gonna grab my LA Girl Pro Concealer in the color Toast. I love this cream concealer. It's just the only downside I have with it is that it is a little hard to blend out if it dries too fast. So that is why I do it in sections first. To make it much easier to blend for me, I actually take the opposite side of my beauty blender and spray it down with a setting spray to make it a lot more damp. And that's what I use to go in to blend out that concealer. Again, with all my cream products and liquid products, I use patting motions. Next, after I'm done with my cheeks, I go ahead and do my forehead. This stuff is very pigmented, guys, so a little goes a long way. And again, the best technique to do is always do a little bit first, blend it out, and then keep building up on it to achieve the look you're looking for. Now to set my cream contour, I go in with my Elizabeth Mott contour palette and pick these two colors right here on a Sephora Big Face fluffy brush. Of course, pat out the excess because you don't want too much. I'm going more for a more natural look, so I just go ahead and pat all that in and just very lightly buff it out at the edges. Now I'm gonna grab this small angled face brush that came in a BH Cosmetics Sculpt and Blend set that I purchased, which Again, I really like it, and I think this set was only like 19 bucks. I'm gonna pick up that middle contour color that I showed you earlier that I used for my face, and very lightly contouring my nose. I don't like going too crazy with my nose contour. Now what is left over on my brush, I just go ahead and spread it out on my little cupid's bow. It makes it look a little bit more defined. Now it's time to dust away this setting powder that I have setting under my eyes. I think it's more than enough time to dust away. First, I use very slight patting motions, and then I just very lightly just swipe it away, very lightly. Now I go back into my Elizabeth Mott contour palette and pick up that yellow shade that you just saw and just lightly dust a little bit around my cheek areas because I do have yellow undertone skin. So this kind of just helps balance everything out so I don't look like a ghost. Next, I'm going to take my Makeup Revolution Hot and Spice blush palette, and I'm going to grab these two peachy colors right here with a little bit of the shimmery one, just to add a little bit of luminosity to my cheeks. I'm using my e.l.f. Complexion Brush to sweep that very lightly over my face. First, I'm patting it in, and then I'm just going to blend it out very lightly. Now, since blush is supposed to mimic your natural body's capability of blood rushing to the surface of your skin, I also like sweeping it a little bit across my forehead because when you naturally blush, you also get kind of red around the forehead as well. Personally, I find that it's actually more natural looking this way. Here, I'm just blending out the edges of that blush with a little brush that I use to dust off my baking as well as my beauty blender. Now onto the eyes, I'm going to pick up my Morphe 350 palette. I love this palette, as you can see. Yes. And look at all these stunning warm colors. I'm going to pick up a blending brush that I've actually had this one for years. It came in a set that I purchased from Coastal Scents. I think it was my first ever brush set. And I'm going to pick up that warm color that you just saw and just sweep it all over my crease. Next, I'm going to grab a small eyeshadow brush. Again, this one came in the same set. Again, I've had this like for 7 years. It was the first brush set that I've ever purchased. I'm going to pick up this warm color from the Morphe palette and use this color on my outer V and very slightly blend it up into my crease. This is going to help create some depth to your eyelid. For a good eyeshadow blend, it's always best to pick up a very minimal product and just build up on it and just keep working on it, and like that you'll have a very nicely blended out look. Here I'm just going back in with my fluffy blending brush with a little bit of the same crease color that I picked up earlier just to smoke out and blend out those edges. Please don't judge me, it's another brush. This is a large shadow brush from the same Coastal Scents set that I've actually had for like 7 years. Here I'm showing you the different size between the blending brush that I use in my crease and the one that I'm about to use now. I'm going to pick up these two colors right here and just blend it very lightly onto my brow bone. I like using this large brush for this part right here because it actually helps me blend it out very nicely. Once again, I'm going to go back in with that large blending brush that I used earlier in my crease just to blend it out even more. Here I'm going to grab a small detail brush and basically mimic what I did on my upper lip on my lower lash line. First I'm going to start off with the crease color, then I'm going to build intensity with that darker outer V color. Once again, with the same blending brush I used in my crease, I'm just gonna very lightly blend everything out in my lower lash line. So I'm gonna take a large flat concealer brush just like this, and with the same two colors we use on our brow bone, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in my inner corners. You guys didn't see me do this earlier because again, my camera stopped recording without me noticing, but I did wet the brush a little bit with setting spray. Now I'm gonna curl my lashes. And with my Maybelline Big Shot Mascara, I'm gonna go ahead and apply mascara on my upper and lower lashes. After applying a couple coats of mascara, I'm going in with the Kiss eyelashes in the style Shy. So a quick tip for those of you who have trouble putting lashes on, to make it a little bit easier on you. First, I take the lash out and then I would cut off that much to kind of measure it and make sure it fits my eyeball. Then what I do is after I cut off the edge, I will go ahead and cut it in thirds. When I cut it in thirds, I would take the outer third and put it in the middle and then use the middle on the edge. I find that that makes them look a little bit more natural. It creates a more wispy, prettier look. So once lashes are on, I'm gonna go in very lightly and spray my cheeks with a little bit of setting spray, because next I'm gonna use my Mary Luminizer highlight, which is the bomb. Get what I did there? I'm also very lightly going to bring it up against my eyebrow and my forehead. I'm going to bring it down a little bit on my chin, a little bit on my cupid's bow. I'm going to go in more defined later. I'm going to use my finger to define the tip of my nose and the bridge of my nose as well, being very careful not to place it on the bump that I have in the middle of my nose because I don't want that to show too much. Now I'm going to take a very tiny detail brush. This is actually a lip pencil, to be honest with you, and picking up some of that highlighter in the corner of my eyes, as well as defining my cupid's bow a little more. Here I'm going to take a little bit of the Wet n Wild Precious Petals highlighter. I love this highlighter as well. I like to brush this just a little bit under my highlighter, just more on my cheeks where my blush is located. Here I'm taking my e.l.f. Complexion Brush and just blending out that highlight and blush a lot better. Now I'm going in with my NYX retractable lip pencil in nude pink and just lining my lips with it, and at the same time while I line them, I'll go ahead and blend it up a little bit better, and I will use my finger to blend it out even more. Oh my god, guys, so I just ordered these BH Cosmetic liquid lipsticks and I just got them in the mail. So I'm going in with Sienna, and to be honest with you guys, I have worn this all day and they did not budge. For the price point that they're at, they're amazing. I fell in love with them. They didn't crack on me, they didn't flake off on me or anything like that. Now with an e.l.f. contouring brush, I'm picking up a little bit of setting powder and very lightly putting it around my eyeshadow and my jawline. And I'm not letting that sit for too long. It's just to clean up my contour a little bit better, and as well as my eyeshadow. And I'm dusting it off right away. Now to finish off the look, I'm just setting it with a setting spray.
And that's it. Very simple, right? Just in case if you guys missed any of the products that I mentioned, they'll be listed in the description down below. If you have any comments, don't forget to comment down below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button with the little bell next to it so you're notified when my next video goes up. Don't forget to follow me on my social media, and we'll see you next time. Bye! Stay in focus. Focus. You guys see this bump right here? Yeah, that's thanks to my big-headed son. Yep. It's not going away. went ahead and decided to do with what the fuck is wrong with me? The maldito intro. Why am I procrastinating my out?